And we're live.
All right, well, good evening, Lincoln families. Welcome and thank you for joining us this evening to discuss our middle and high school return to campus plans for our blended learning model. For those that I haven't already had the pleasure to meet, my name is Robert Jansen, and I'm the very proud superintendent of Lincoln Consolidated Schools. Let me start out by saying what a complete honor and privilege it is for us to serve you and your amazing children. We take safety of your children as a top priority, and our team has been putting in endless hours to prepare for your students' return to campus. We are so excited to see them in person. An enormous thank you to every Lincoln employee for their hard work and dedication. As we have started the year in our remote setting of our blended learning, one huge benefit of the model is that after we return students in person, we can quickly move back to remote learning if necessary. Or if there is ever a reason a student misses school for any reason, they can have access to their learning remotely. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for all of your hard work, compassion, and flexibility during this time. Lincoln truly is a special place. This pandemic has put a great deal of anxiety and stress on so many. We are here to partner with you and support you in any way. Together, we will get through this time and we will excel. Joining me tonight are some wonderful leaders representing both our cabinet and buildings who will be sharing out important components of our plans. I'd like to start out by introducing Corinza Smith, our Director of Curriculum and Instruction. Mrs. Smith is an amazing, talented, gifted instructional leader. She, along with some amazing teacher leaders and other administrators, have worked extremely hard on our blended learning model, and she will be explaining the benefits a little later. I'd like to introduce Adam Blaylock, our Director of Human Resources. Adam does a great deal of, works really hard to take care of all of our staff. He, along with Christina Spurley, our district nurse, work closely with the Washtenaw County Health Department on many of our safety protocols. Mr. Blaylock gives a great detail to our protocols and demands excellence. I have great confidence in Mr. Blaylock's attention to detail that he'll ensure protocols and policies follow strict guidelines. I'd like to introduce Vicki Curry, our talented Director of Communication and Information Services. She oversees our webpage, Facebook, marketing resources, and oversees the communications you receive on a regular basis. And we appreciate all of her hard work and dedication, along with taking on many other responsibilities for our district. I'd like to introduce Bob Merritt, our dedicated transportation director. He has improved our transportation department to the next level, and one of the hardest working people I've ever worked with. Along with taking care of transportation, he has played a major role in all of our PPE orders and safety protocols. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Nick Jackson, our multi-talented technology director. He and his team have done a tremendous job bringing our technology department to the next level. He and his team have been working nonstop for several months, and we appreciate all their efforts. I would also like to introduce a few representatives from both the middle school and high school leadership teams. These incredible people put in an enormous amount of time and effort for our staff, students, and community. Each has an unbelievable amount of dedication to our Lincoln community. It is my great pleasure to introduce the gifted, talented, caring, and dedicated educators representing the middle school, Mrs. Patricia Barthwell, Miss Lori Ferguson, and Mr. Tim Green. And representing the high school this evening, Miss Regina Winborn, Mrs. Melcher, Mrs. Katie Moffitt. I want to thank each of them for their hard work for our kids. Mr. Green, would you like to make a comment?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Jensen. I just want to say, first of all, let's give Mr. Jensen a round of applause. He's done a heck of a job during these very challenging times. Step in since March, so we want to give him his respect because he's done a lot of good work for our district. Just want to say hello to all the middle school families, the students, the community, just to say that we're really looking forward to seeing you guys next week. I wanted to say on behalf of all the middle school teachers, administrators, support staff, all of us. We miss you guys, and we look forward to seeing you guys on Monday. We really do. It's going to be a great day. Go Rail Splitters.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Anybody else? Ms. Malter.
I'd like to piggyback off of what Mr. Green said. At the high school, we've been doing a lot to make sure everything's safe for all the students returned. We're very excited to see everyone, and go Rail Splinters.
Thank you. Next slide, please, Ms. Curry.
Good evening. I'm Adam Blaylock. I'm the Director of Human Resources, and as part of our COVID response, I was charged with helping develop some of the protocols that we'll have in place for our staff and our students. So I'll do a quick overview of those things so that you have the opportunity to get yourselves a little bit more familiar with them, and then I'll turn it over to some of our other staff for some of the other things that we're going to talk about tonight. So the first thing, and this is the first check, is a daily screening requirement. And so each of our staff is required to complete a daily screening. And we're also requiring our parents to do those things at home with our students. So as part of the communications that you have either already received or will be receiving over the next couple of days, there will be a checklist that will be provided for you to use for yourselves. And I would note that particularly in this time, to not send students who are sick to attend school in person. Next, we have a face covering requirement for all of our staff and our students. So while you are in the school setting and during district provided transportation, there is a requirement that all of our students and staff wear facial coverings. We have a plentiful supply in order to make sure that all of our students and staff have those available. So if you need one, please reach out to your building administrators and they'll make sure that that those facial coverings are available. And then the way that we've structured those things, that there are some minor exceptions to that requirement. It's required except for during meal times is essentially the summary. In certain circumstances, if we're outside and we have social distancing, there may be opportunities for mask breaks, and those kinds of things will be provided by your building administration. And then at all times during transportation, there will be a facial covering requirement. Next, I'm also the primary liaison for the district with the Washtenaw County Health Department. I'm regularly in contact with them, and they're regularly in contact with me in the event that there's any concerns that may have been raised through the Washtenaw County Health Department. And we have regularly scheduled telephone conferences with the entire county's school leaders, as well as with some of the leadership from the Washtenaw County Health Department. And our next meeting is this next Friday. And so I recognize and want to address that there have been some concerning trends in both our community across the state and across the country. And I want to ask each of our families to make sure that you are doing what's necessary to make sure that we can continue forward with our plans to return to in-person instruction and do so successfully. And so the key components there are to make sure that we maintain those social distancing obligations. I know how challenging it is. I feel those same pressures myself with my family, but I would just ask, because what we've seen and what we've observed through the local health department and the local health data is that outside gatherings are where the cases of spread are really happening. And those outside gatherings are students and families gathering on the weekends, gathering with friends. Those are the sources of exposure that we're seeing. There are very few cases of exposure and spread that we're seeing in schools. And so the concerning cases are going to be those cases that occur with those social gatherings that are outside of either the professional or the school environment. So a couple just informational points for our families is that we do cooperate with the Washtenaw County Health Department with all confirmed COVID-19 cases, and we assist in the identification of potential close contacts. So a close contact, as defined by the health department, is anyone that's been within 6 feet or about 2 arms length of someone that's a confirmed positive case for at least 15 minutes with or without a face covering. And so many of our protocols that we're implementing inside the buildings are in order to reduce the number of close contacts and reduce those potential exposures. When we do have a positive case, in coordination with the health department, we will notify our families. We will not be able to disclose who that person is. We will not be able to disclose the identity of any staff member or student who tests positive. And those communications will come from either the school buildings or the transportation department if there's a positive case on one of our school buses. Those cases will be posted to our dashboard on lincolnk12.org. And we do contact the Washtenaw County Health Department in the event that we have any suspected or positive cases. And the Washtenaw County Health Department will reach out to those close contacts in order to give additional guidance regarding quarantine and any needs to self-isolate. And then I'll turn it over to our team.
So one of the things that's really important in social distancing, our mask policy is for the safety of everyone. Masks are going to be required inside with the exception of while kids are eating. And then if there's a teacher supervised or a supervised mask break for 5 to 10 minutes outside where social distancing is observed. For the safety of everyone, we need to do that. We want to make sure that we're able to continue with in person. And so adhering to the district mask policy is important. We want to make sure that everybody understands we'll be giving, some reminders for people as we're starting in, but if we have to make an official verbal warning, that'll be the first step. If we have to continue with those for somebody who's not adhering to the district policy, then there would be an exclusion of 2 days from in-person learning, and continued behavior where the student isn't using their mask could include inclusion from in-person learning for an extended period of time. If there's a medical exemption, we would need medical documentation in order to allow for medical exemption for a mask. Attendance for our students, we have cohort attendance. In person is cohort A attends on Mondays, Tuesdays, and then cohort B attends in person on Thursdays and Fridays. Our normal school attendance rules are in effect. So if a student's not able to participate either in the live lesson or independently, the parents will need to notify their school office of the absence, just like you normally would in a normal school year. If a child's out sick, we need to know that. Students will be responsible for the covered material and assignments, which will be available in their Google Classrooms. And Mrs. Smith will talk about our instructional delivery models.
Thank you, Ms. Curry. In terms of the curriculum and instruction components, we have grouped the students into 2 cohorts. Cohort A will attend in-person school on Mondays and Tuesdays, and cohort B will attend in-person school on Thursdays and Fridays. Wednesdays will remain our remote learning day, with students being provided work to complete on their own. In this hybrid model, normal school attendance rules are in effect. Oh, I'm sorry. We have repeated some of that, I apologize. One of the purposes of the blended model was to have our students be able to seamlessly move back and forth between remote and in-person if necessary. So due to that, it is important for the students to transport their materials back and forth between school and home. This would include any materials they may have, examples, books, pencils, pens, as well as their Chromebook. To help alleviate the need to have Chromebooks charging throughout the day, please make sure your child's device is fully charged on a daily basis. For safety purposes and the ability to quickly transition back to remote if necessary, no lockers will be assigned at this time. Students will be carrying their devices and materials to each of their classes, so please make sure they have a bag that will safely handle all of those materials. We understand that some families are not yet ready to send their child back to in-person instruction. If you're deciding that your child will participate remotely every day, please make sure that it is communicated with your child's teacher and the building. Please also keep in regular communication with the building and teachers if you decide that you would like to return to in-person on the cohort-specific days. This will give the teachers time to plan effectively. If your child needs to remain home due to an illness or because they need to be quarantined, they are welcome to continue working on the curriculum asynchronously. What you will see here is the updated middle school schedule for hybrid instruction. Please note that there have been slight modifications in the times due to having students in person face-to-face. As you can see, cohort A will see their first, third, and fifth hour teachers or classes still on Mondays, and their second, fourth, and sixth hour teachers and classes still on Tuesdays, but that will now be in person. The same holds true for cohort B on Thursdays and Fridays. During these classes, the teachers have two options for hybrid instruction, the blended learning model and the flipped classroom model. In the blended learning model, the teacher will be interacting with both the students face-to-face and remote. There will be guided lessons for the students at home and face-to-face, and both groups of students will have asynchronous work to complete. Students at home will also have an opportunity to ask their teacher questions through Google Meet, email, and the Remind app, as well as other modes. For the flipped classroom model, the students will engage in a pre-recorded lesson or video when they are at home. They will still complete asynchronous work. When they return face-to-face, the live instruction will then occur. Whichever model the teacher is instructing, your child will still be getting access to the curriculum and social emotional care. Individual teachers will be communicating to students and families the method in which their content will be delivered, whether it's a live broadcast, pre-recorded, or videos. The schedule for the high school is very similar to the middle school schedule, except the home-based homeroom times are different throughout the days. The same instructional options are offered, hybrid instruction in the blended learning model or the flipped classroom model. Individual teachers will be communicating to students and families the method in which content will be delivered.
With communications, we consistently and actively communicate with our families. Official communications are shared with our school families versus via school messenger. If you're not receiving calls or emails, you will want to contact your school building and they can help you figure out why you're not getting it. You could have a bad email or you've accidentally blocked us. That's happened before, and they can help you figure out how to get your information up to date so that we're able to contact you. We also take any communications that we send out to everybody and post them on our district website and make them available. So you may get the call, but you don't have a chance to go look at it. You can always just go to the website and see the messages there as well. We also have social media on Twitter and Facebook, and then our buildings also have social media pages as well. We also have positive COVID case communication protocols. They're listed on the website, and we will post on the district dashboard positive cases that are reported to us. And then if you receive a communication, then you've been affected. If you don't receive a communication, then it wasn't identified as being someone that was either on campus. We have our virtual students that are off campus 100%. We also have to report those, and they're associated with the building. So if you see your building has gotten a positive case, but you haven't gotten a communication, you will get a communication if it's been identified as someone that you've been in contact with or near contact with or suspected contact with. Also, this year we're not able to accommodate building and access of building volunteers. We do enjoy our volunteers, but for safety reasons, we are not allowed to have additional people on campus. There's contact tracing that we're trying to be able to make sure that we can do. So if you're a district visitor, you're going to enter buildings only by appointment. And you must complete the visitor COVID screening form. We do have that right on the front page of our website. So if you do have an appointment in the building, you have to complete that before coming in. And you can look for more information about the building specifics from your two buildings over how you might be bringing information or dropping off kids or dropping off items to kids and that sort of thing.
Hello, everybody. I'm Nick Jackson. As Bob mentioned, I lead the technology department here at the district. I'm going to talk briefly about some expectations around technology and devices. So each student will be responsible for bringing their school-assigned device back and forth from school to home each day. Home devices will be allowed on our network. And they do get filtered for SIPA compliance. That's the Child Information Protection Act. However, they're not optimized to work well with the district's network, as they do require a certificate. And this certificate will allow them to properly access the internet through our network. Reach out to your buildings. There should be simple instructions on how to install them. And we also can't provide support for personal devices. So please take those limitations into consideration. Charging stations are going to be available at the buildings, but they are limited. So once again, just a gentle reminder to ensure you're charging your devices before you come to school each day. And if you do require a device from the district, and support for a device that you may already have from the district, please email us at techsupport, that's all one word, at lincolnk12.org. There is a backlog of available devices, and we continue to collect names. And once we receive more devices, we will start going down that list and contacting those families to get devices. And if you have challenges with internet access at home, you can email, this is all one word, internet@home, and that's at lincolnk12.org. You can also call 734-484-7000, and the extension is 1500. You'll have to leave a voicemail. But we might have some additional resources that we can help you get some connectivity for your student at home. And there's also additional technology resources available on the district website. And the website, of course, is www.lincolnk12.org. Thank you. I believe I'll be followed by Bob.
Nope, I'm back, Nick. It's Adam Blaylock again. And I'm going to outline again some of the custodial safety and maintenance things that have been worked on through our facilities and our maintenance department over the past few months. So we've implemented protocols that will require the cleaning and disinfecting of frequently touched surfaces every 4 hours. That's door handles and things like that. We've also procured additional disinfecting machines for every building so that we can use those more frequently in order to sanitize and disinfect classrooms and other spaces. We've provided additional supplies, including EPA qualified disinfectants, hand washing soap, paper towels, and installed hand sanitizer stations inside and outside, inside or outside every classroom in all the elementary buildings and in strategic locations across both the middle school and the high school. And we've added additional signage throughout the buildings to promote and remind students and staff to maintain social distancing and hand washing. And we've also installed physical barriers such as plexiglass at reception areas and our cafeteria point of sale stations. Our maintenance department has also worked tirelessly to improve our HVAC systems to maximize additional airflow into our buildings. Those systems are monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we're completing all the filter changes pursuant to the manufacturer and district vendor recommendations. And here's a couple examples of some of the signage that you'll see in our buildings in order to help promote those social distancing requirements.
This year, the USDA has approved breakfast and lunch free of charge for all students for the entire school year. That means that meals are available during the school day to kids for in-person meals. And then we still are having weekly pickup on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. For remote learners and virtual learners. And on Wednesday, they provide multiple days worth of meals. Even though everybody gets free lunch this year, families are still asked to still fill out the free and reduced lunch application if you feel you would qualify for free and reduced lunch. This helps us with some other funding abilities if we have that information on hand. While eating at meals at school, facial coverings are needed while students retrieve their meal. Distance of at least 6 feet from others. And the lunch process will vary between the buildings and grades. So you will get information from your buildings on how that's going to work in each building. And then the lunch menus are available on the district's website under the food service area.
Social emotional wellness is a focus for Lincoln Consolidated Schools. We understand that students and staff may be experiencing varying degrees of trauma related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Using a multi-tiered system of supports, which is called MTSS, using that process, Lincoln's educators will implement programs and services that address the academic, social, emotional, behavioral, and wellness needs of all students, understanding that we need to service the whole child. We are also fortunate in our district to have the ROS Clinic, Regional Alliance for Healthy Schools, at Bishop, the middle school, and the high school, where youth can receive high-quality physical, emotional, and preventative health care. For those families in need of community resources, please visit the homepage of our district website for more information. As a district, we are providing support for our EL students, students with special needs, and students with 504 medical health plans. Our special education providers will continue to support our students with special needs in each phase of our COVID-19 response plan. And when necessary, our IEP meetings will be held virtually. For our students with 504 plans or medical health plans, they will continue to receive all accommodations that are specified in their current plans. All teachers and support staff will have access to each student's 504 plans, and when necessary, 504 review meetings will also be held virtually. If you have any questions regarding your child's 504 plan, please reach out to your child's counselor. Children who speak a language other than English in their home or have a different native language are given the opportunity to enrich their learning experience with highly qualified teachers and tutors of English language learners.
Good evening. I'm Bob Merritt, the Transportation Director. Parent drop-off and dismissals this year. All students will be required to exit the buildings. They will not be allowed to stay in the buildings at the end of the school day. This is for all parent pickups, bus, student that drive to school, or any sports that they hang around for. They'll have to exit the buildings at the end of the school day. Students can only be in the building they are assigned to. There will be no walking through the buildings to get to another building. Each building will communicate their parent drop-off and dismissal procedures, and we ask for patience as we get the students safely in and out of the buildings this year. Parents and guardians need to remain in their vehicles during the drop-off and the pickup for those students. I want to congratulate our elementary students. It's been an overwhelming success on the buses. We've not had any issues of students that are refusing to wear masks or doing any of the things that would keep them unsafe. So they're wearing masks, they're sitting in their assigned seats, they're using their hand sanitizers, and they're following all the safety rules. They have been very happy to be back into the building by me getting on the buses and speaking to them each day. So I just want to congratulate all those elementary students and the parents for helping us with those students. Safety is still the most important factor in transportation. It's always the #1 factor for transportation, but with the COVID pandemic, it's also a factor in the entire day of the students. So we really are focusing on that safety for the students. With that said, we really appreciate all of the public's help in trying to follow the same rules on the buses and in the buildings this year. They must wear their mask, use the hand sanitizer prior to entering the bus, sit in their assigned seats, and avoid contact with other passengers. I know that's a big ask sometimes, but we really want to make sure that they are safe. Bus routes are different this year. Bus routes are built and designed for the hybrid model. Stop locations have changed. Bus routes have been completely overhauled for efficiency for the ridership and the bus staff. Bus numbers have changed. Please look in the windows of the bus, the second window from the door for the bus letter. That'll give you the correct bus that your student is riding. Route changes each week will only happen one time a week. All requests that are turned in by Thursday at noon will be addressed that week, and the changes will take effect for the following week. Buses are sprayed with a COVID-killing chemical after each group of students are unloaded. This includes for field trips, in between secondary and elementary. Anytime that there are students on and off the buses, they will be sprayed down and sanitized. All students wanting transportation to school must be registered through the transportation page. It is the only way to register for transportation this year. School of choice students, unfortunately, will not be allowed to ride the buses this year to keep the student counts down. And we will be enforcing a 3-strike policy with busing. We will really work with the students and the parents as much as we can. We do want to bring these students to school, but if the students are being unsafe and they're not following the bus rules, then we will have to go down the discipline policies. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director. I wanted to start by thanking all the parents, coaches, athletes, and fans for bearing with us this fall. There were a lot of changes. It seemed like almost daily sometimes. But we didn't have a single issue this fall with face coverings, with COVID procedures. We are continuing to take everything very seriously. If you show up to any practice, I mean, football's going on right now. We check every kid every day. There's a staff member there to take their temperature, to log it into a Google form, and to physically look at them and make sure that they're well. That's something that a lot of our neighboring districts are not doing, that we've learned. So we're really proud of the processes that we have in place for our athletes and our coaches to be here and be safe while they're doing it. So I just want to thank everybody for bearing with us and for, supporting us this fall to get the kids back on the field. Winter sports have been officially approved by the MHSAA to start on time, which will be our first sports start on Monday with middle school basketball tryouts for the boys, and then everybody else in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So everything will be on time. We rolled out our plan and our tryout dates yesterday. So if you're a parent of a winter athlete, those can be found on our website, which is listed below, but it's splitternation.com. Also on our Facebook page and on our Twitter, but the best place to find information is on our website. For those of you that were with us this fall, we started off with this rule, but it's going to start the winter that way too. We are going to be limited to 2 fans per athlete for all winter contests. That's home and away, middle school and high school. So that means 2 people per athlete will operate off of a will call list. We will ask the athletes for their names, the coaches will. They will input them into a Google sheet, which we'll print and have available for the game workers, and we send it to the away team. So no additional children, staff members, or family members can go in. It's just the 2 names. So I want to make sure that that's clear. We lived through this fall, so we know that it works. If things go well and numbers trend in the opposite direction, then it's likely that they'll open it up like they did this fall and allow for more fans to come to watch the games. I do want to point out that we will be streaming. We're going to try to get streaming in all of our sports. We tested it out this fall with Facebook Live and it was okay. So we're going to look through some other options for some different streaming that might help get it on smart TVs through YouTube or something like that. So stay tuned for some information on streaming so that you can still support our kids and our athletes at home. In addition to this fall and every other thing that's going on with the school building, all fans are required to wear masks when they come to our contest. That includes entry and exit from all facilities. In addition, all of our athletes will be wearing masks. It's challenging. I will tell you, I've lived through this since the summer, but I've been so impressed with how resilient our kids are. If you let them know what the policy is, they've been great. It might take a week or so, but driving around to all of our practices and being in the thick of all of this, I've noticed that if you provide them with an avenue, they'll be successful. So I know it can be done. It's going to be an adjustment period for these new athletes going through it, but we'll get it right. And we appreciate the parents' support in that as well. So any questions can be directed to Coach Westfall or myself. We'll get back with you. But the best way to find out information, as it's always ever changing, is to go to our website. Thanks, everyone.
So we asked everybody to provide some questions in advance so that we were prepared to answer them. And if we haven't been able to answer them above, we've pulled some of them out as well. So for families who decide to stay remote at this time and have their child continue to work via the Google Classroom, are they able to choose when they would like them to return to the hybrid setting at any point, anytime? Yes. That is a family choice to come back on campus. So please regularly communicate with your child's teacher so that the staff are prepared to receive the student in person. If families choose to remain remote, do students forfeit all teacher-guided lessons regardless of the number of kids choosing to stay remote? The students that are remote are will still receive teacher-guided lessons through various methods such as live broadcast, recorded videos, asynchronous learning videos, and other posted content. What will a student's day look like on the days that they're not in person? Will the students be watching the teacher and the face-to-face students interact? If so, will they be engaged with those who are face-to-face while watching virtually? If my child stays virtual, will they continue to receive live daily instruction? Students that are remote will still receive teacher-guided lessons through the Google Meet sessions. There are various ways students can access the information, including live broadcast, where the student can listen in, and asynchronous videos and assignments. Teachers will determine which route works best for their class, so please reach out to your students' teachers to determine how they can access the content and lessons for that specific class. Why are the students not having all core classes all 4 days? Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and 2 days of in-school and 2 days synchronous. So normally a school day is 6 hours long, and the hybrid has 3 classes that are twice as long on alternating days. So in order to assist with safety and a lot of movement of students in the building, students will only see 3 of their 6 courses each day they are in the building. The amount of time in the course has been extended, so attending 3 of their classes in 1 day is equivalent to attending 6 of their class courses in 2 days. This helps with movement around the buildings. The less movement, the less chance of spread and contact tracing. So are middle school students allowed to walk through the high school if they're being driven by high school students? If not, what other options are available for these cases besides making 2 drop-offs in 2 different schools? No, unfortunately, students cannot walk through the buildings, walk through other buildings. This is to reduce the exposure of students across buildings, and so drop-offs would need to occur at each of the separate buildings. What if we only need after-school transportation? I've been told if my student participates in sports and aren't riding the bus every day, they'll lose their seat on the bus. How can this be if sports aren't every day? For this situation, the parent needs to contact transportation office at lincolnk12.org stating this very situation, and they will put notes on the student's file to not remove the transportation for the student with that situation. And those are our questions.
Well, I'd like to start off by just thanking our panel tonight. Thank you for our wonderful dedicated staff for all their work. Everybody's put a lot of time and effort into all the planning. We are very much looking forward to seeing our middle and high school students back here on campus in the safest possible manner. So thank you for all your questions in advance. If you have additional questions, please contact the buildings. There'll be quite a bit of information coming out over the course of the next few days. So again, thank you so much. Lincoln is a special place, and I'm very proud to be part of this wonderful community. So have a wonderful evening, everyone.